some years ago for 25 years. It's not really a temporary protected status. It's a status that is granted because because we cannot figure out what we want to do about immigration. There are people who are here basically because they're fleeing war, people that were given the status because Guatemala had an earthquake, Haiti had an earthquake. There would have been consideration for the Bahamians, except the Trump administration is completely anti-immigrant. So it's a humanitarian thing. We often have these folks living out in the neighborhoods for years upon years. It's for Guatemala, Central America, Haiti, Afghanistan. These are all ravaged countries. And it should at least be an option for people to make a case-by-case basis. I see that the numbers are small, but the point is the policy should be fair to people. So I think if they're living here, if they're paying taxes, they should be able to make a case that they're residents here. So, and I mention it now because I don't want the policy committee to bring the policy and then at the last minute have me say, wait a minute, I want you to think about this or that. So.
Thank you. Okay. Good point.
To follow up with Trustee Lane, do you mean that the policy committee should come up with criteria for individually interviewing these students to see if they're qualified for Dearborn tuition and fees?
Or, yes, to consider it on a case-by-case basis. If they're living in Woodhaven,
the committee should come up with some kind of criteria that you would review or the board would review?
It would probably
Can you help us?
Be student services or.
Can you give us some criteria, maybe?
Well, the first thing would be Dearborn residents.
Okay.
If someone is living in Dearborn and they've lived here for an extended period, and
but they're still
they're
classified.
not expected to leave anytime soon. When President Obama was president, when we had a humanitarian president, he continued to push TPS in the case of Yemen, for example. So Trustee Moseb is correct that theoretically it could apply to a lot more people. There was no designation for Syria because of political issues here. But yeah, if people are living in our community, they're paying taxes, why shouldn't they have the same benefit tuition-wise? And especially, they're particularly people that need it more than so many other people, having been pushed out of a country of residence. They aren't Norwegians that are coming here with endowments or anything.
Well, then what I might suggest is this might not be on next month's because you're going to have to get some further opinion as to how to represent the ideas that Trustee Lane is asking for and see what can be done in that direction legally and otherwise that would make it a workable policy, because I don't want to just add a line into a policy that we just don't know how then to manage. So I'm not going to ask you to rush this onto next month's agenda by any means. Yes, Trustee Berry.
Even though I fully support Trustee Lane's thoughts there, but I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I don't see why I don't think it would be an issue for us to have the old policy with the changes. I don't know if we should have had them by tonight's meeting, but maybe sometime soon.
Well, you can't, no policy can be, it always has to be, a month. It's like the first read and then the second read is when we vote.
So we should, before we vote, we're gonna get a copy
Yes.
of the old
Yes.
policy. These are the recommended changes,
Right.
stuff like that. Then we can have a discussion.
We would have another one if it would come up onto the agenda as a motion, as an item to move on after we have seen the changes. We're having a discussion now, but at that point, we could have another potential discussion if it were on the agenda as an action item.
Okay. Because I heard a couple of times that if this is okay, I don't see why it wouldn't be. I mean, that's the way we've been handling it.
And I'm just saying that they might need more time to
Okay.
develop something different than what they have looked at tonight.
Good, thank you.
Is there any, Trustee Mosep, did you have something?
I just wanted to add, if we want to look if other universities or other colleges have adopted such similar policies, then we can look and learn from them.
And that's what I'm saying, they
And
might
if
just
we
need a
are
little more time.
pioneers,
We
then-
Yes.
talked about it at the policy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's generally traditional
Yeah.
for any policy changes, to look at what other colleges are doing. All right, are we clear? Yes.
Madam Chair, did you want me to continue what we had discussed in policy, doing a policy update now, or save the rest of what we discussed? till the end
For
of the
the traditional,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it that way.
Okay.
You can, unless you want to keep it while it's fresh in your,
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's what threw me off, because
Yeah.
I had two different
A
places, and I
different- right.
wasn't sure where to put it. Yeah, exactly.
hey, we're keeping
Okay.
you on your toes. All right, then. All right, next item, please.
Action item, citizen participation. Citizens wishing to address the board on agenda and non-agenda items for action who have submitted a blue card to the secretary may speak at this time. I have no blue cards.
Next item, please.
Special consideration of an action item. Are there any action items on this agenda which board members or the president wish to discuss and vote on separately?
I have a question about agenda item number 1. I don't know about.
You have a question. Do you want it polled, or would your question affect your vote? That's why
I
we
would
poll.
think it would, so.
All right, then we want to poll number 1. All right, anybody else have any? All right, then could we move the,
Madam Chair, if I could make a comment on, I don't need it pulled, but I would like to make a comment on number 6, the staff recommendations.
yeah, I'm kind of confused here, numbering on my thing. I've got 6 and I've got 6.
Oh, yeah.
So is that
No,
2?
it's number 2, I apologize.
Yeah, yeah, I've got that too.
That's okay. I'm going to give the numbering. It was a long day for you. All right, so number 2, yeah, we don't need to pull it. Well, you're not voting. All right, can you,
Move to approve action items number 2 through 9 as recommended in this agenda.
So moved.
Support.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Please attach a unanimous roll. All right, now we're back to number 1. Can you read number 1, please?
Change order request, Liberal Arts Elevator Modernization Project Board Report 4527. You want to put the recommended action?
Yeah, please.
Move to approve a contract change order to Cone Inc. in the amount of $44,341.24 for the additional work required to upgrade 2 elevator interiors in the Liberal Arts Elevator Modernization Project requested by Facility Service in accordance with Cone Change Order Number 1 dated August 1st, 2019.
We need it moved.
So moved.
Support. Okay, and now trustee Moses?
Yep. So from my understanding, President Kevaluna, that this contract was approved back in March. Obviously, it's prior to me coming on the board, but I'd like to really understand more of why are we adding this extra, or why did we have to go back and rebid? And then the same company, I believe, took on this project. Why isn't the original project supposed to get the elevator modernized? So why are we approving?
Why is there a change?
this an-
It's called a
yeah.
change order.
Right.
Trustee Moses, I don't know the details of this except to tell you that, I'm not surprised you're interested in this because those elevators are the closest thing to the elevators that the dinosaurs rode when they were on our planet. And so having changes in how you update them is not normal. In fact, you can't really even find competitors for the parts. But if
Could possibly President Kavaluna and Mr. Sikowski be able to enlighten?
Of course, but Trustee Moses, is your concern, I just want to narrow your concern because I might be able to answer it unless is your concern that there was a change in what we thought we were going to have to pay?
Correct, yes.
Vice President Sikowski, do you want to speak on that?
What it was is the entire process was bid at $419,810, but what there was an alternate associated with it, and it was the interior of the elevator, which was listed at $69,000. So the bid was accepted at $349,840. They have come back and proposed an upgrade to the interior of the elevators at $44,000, which is $25,000 less than what they put in initially by excluding that bid. So we are at the point of, we're gonna have a new elevator, modernized. In fact, I have pictures of a before and after look of what the elevator would look like in its interior versus what it would continue to look like had we not done the interior. But the interior was initially bid as an alternate, and the cost of that was $69,000. They completed the work at $349,000, which they said they would do. But in the meantime, they said, based on what we've done, we can lower the price on that alternate bid, and you can accept it for the $44,000. So that's what we're at.
So the original amount that we approved
Right.
was minus any interior work,
Was-
knowing that the bid price was at 69,000.
Correct.
They completed the original bid work and said, hey, by the way, we'll give you a deal,
Yes.
basically.
To finish the
To
interior.
finish the
And it
interiors.
is still way below what any other bids were
Okay.
associated with the.
Trustee Barry?
That was gonna be my question. I don't remember when we approved this, was there other bidders on this
I believe
contract?
there were, I can't have to go back and pull the list on that, but again, this is one of those where Cone is a recommended solicitor within the state of Michigan. They did and have done a number of projects. Their prices have been compared with other companies, and they're one of the preferred, one of the preferred vendors by the state of Michigan.
When we put out
Fred,
the,
but we checked that, but Fred still does that checkout with the other, any other vendors.
and it's been a while, when we put up the original bid, was the upgrade, the interior of the elevator, was that part of the bidding
It was an
process or
alternate.
not?
We said
Yeah.
bid on the entire process.
Yeah.
If we don't do this alternate interior, how much would come off of the price? The total bid was $419,000. Not doing the interior took off $69,000, almost $79,000. So the bid without the interior upgrades
And
was
what we approved.
$352,000.
Yeah.
So that's what was approved without the alternate, which was at $69,000. Now, the work is done with pulleys and fabricating of parts, and I mean, it's a new elevator is what it basically is. But the interior still is the old interior. Based upon what they've completed, some of the work that was done there, it can be used as part of the interior dressing, like the outside framework and what it's attached to and so on. So their estimate is that they can do the interior for $44,300.
And is this something that we can rebid for that, just for that extra work?
No, you can't rebid. You wouldn't rebid that. It was a total bid package, which included the elevator and the alternates. And the alternate, in this case, when I looked at it, this alternate, and their total price was lower than anybody else that had come forth on the elevator. So
When we
by
accept,
accepting it, it's already been bid. In
When-
fact, some of the work that they've done can be utilized as part of the interior.
when we accepted their bid, we approved the 349,840.
Yes.
At what point did we decide that we're gonna go ahead and do the additional work?
Tonight.
Hold on,
No,
hold
not
on.
yet. We're, it's come forth to us.
So if this is
my folks-
additional work, why wouldn't we be able to bid it out?
That's your prerogative.
No,
But it's
I'm
been
asking,
bid-
so-
It's been bid already, is what I'm saying. It was bid, and the bid that they came in with at that point was $69,000. They were the low bidder on the total project. If we'd had accepted the bid at $419, it would have been lower than anybody else. We put in the alternate bid of we included the interior as an alternate, take that out of the calculation. That brought it down to $349,000. So they were low without the interior, they were low with the interior included. So now at this point, we didn't want to spend the entire $420 at that time. Let's see how things progress. When we get the elevator work done, then we'll take a look at the interior to see if it's feasible to do it or not. And the bid, basically, the work that would take to finish the interior is less than what the total bid package was back in March.
So what I'm understanding, even the second bidder
couldn't have
For
come
the other,
close.
then it couldn't come close. Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Trustee Thorpe?
As it is right now, the elevators would be operational. This isn't needed, right?
True, it's interior lighting and interior paneling, new paneling, new buttons, if you will.
But it's operational.
It's operational.
Then why is the recommendation being brought to do this?
Because the original bid didn't have the alternate,
You know,
didn't have the fixes.
Well, I mean,
Why do we even need to?
We're
But
having
that-
bells and
that was my
whistles for
question.
cheaper than it was originally gonna be bid, but do we need the bells and whistles? If the elevator goes up and down,
That was my original question. Why didn't we, or why didn't you guys approve this prior, everything together as one bid?
That's not what the decision was back then.
The
Yeah.
decision back then was we thought we could live without the interior at that point.
Okay,
We'd like to take a
now,
later look
now I
at
get it.
Then take a later look at the interior at a later point in time.
That's a big
Okay.
amount. and-
Here is what I'm gonna encapsulate this, that I hear on occasion about the aesthetics of a campus. And a lot of times you will hear from students who've gone on to other campuses that are more modern, that are newer, have more aesthetic appeal.
Yes.
And my assumption would be that here we've gone in and invested a sizable amount of money to make these two elevators workable. Now, should we go that extra little bit since they cut us a break? And I'm not arguing for or against it this way, I'm just laying out the ideas. Now that they said they'll cut us a break after they've made them functional and working again, should we jump that extra hump and also make them look pleasing so that when students get on and off of it, they can say, hey, I'm not, because the look of it to a student might make a difference in their look of the school. You know, if the campus doesn't look like they can't see the pulleys behind the scenes, but they can see what it looks like on the interior. I haven't been inside of those elevators in a long time, so I don't know how they really look. But I have heard from students who say, hey, you know, I come onto the campus and it looks like it's not being maintained, like the upkeep is, you know, lacking. And it makes me want to go look at other college campuses that maybe are in better looking shape. So that would be, I assume, an argument for investing that next, since they were cutting us a break after they've completed the other work, with how much they would go all the way, since essentially they're like rebuilt elevators at this point in time and should last, I hope, a while. Yes, Trustee McDonald.
Just in general, with something like an elevator, from a layman's perspective, I would think if I get into it and it looks really bad,
I'd be
then-
scared that.
Then I would be scared that if you're not maintaining the outside, you're not maintaining the inside, or you know what I'm saying. I think that it's,
Well, it's a question of priorities. Do we want to spend the
Absolutely.
extra money? And Trustee Thorpe, that's what he brought up. Do we
Yeah.
want to spend the extra money? We know it's a functional elevator. Do we want to make it look like a nice functional elevator? I guess
Maybe we should
that's
see how
that's
bad it
where,
is.
you know, what are our priorities? Or do we want to use that money someplace else? Yes, Trustee Lane.
I don't think it's, just reading the description, I don't think it's just decorative. There are metal kick plates, there's
It's-
metal
yeah,
handrails.
the buttons,
so
those kinds of
handrails,
things, yeah.
Those are
Safety.
things,
Safety.
yeah,
This is the
I
best
haven't
thing.
looked
Yeah.
at
Okay.
it,
This is
but,
the best they can do.
yeah.
This is
I'm
what it
assuming-
would look like.
yeah, I
and
mean-
so the one on the left is what it is.
This is what it is.
The one that looks
That's
like
what it is
a
now.
sewer
So there's
opening?
already,
And I just got this tonight. I tried to
Oh,
quickly
you
get it
just
off.
took the flash off and just said, make it look like there's a wooden box. Not the most appealing, I agree.
It has better lighting, you can see the.
Hey,
aesthetics.
we could
It
throw
has
up a
better
couple
lighting.
of framed paintings. I think we know where to find some.
That's what it is today. Oh, boy.
That's what now?
This is what it is today.
It's on
This
the-
is what it would.
That was what it would be like.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Trustee Moses.
So.
Who
with
would've
the-
thought?
For the fixes that they did, I assume this was like gutting out the whole elevator
Yes.
and putting a brand new one, right? Because a lot of students have complained, especially about the liberal arts building, obviously being also an older building.
Yes, it's,
And the elevator always not functioning, so I'm glad that now we have a good servicing elevator, and now that I understand what this money is going for, I think it is well worth the investment.
do we need a roll call vote?
I think so.
We,
Do you?
We
Do
already
we-
pulled it, right?
okay,
then
then
we do
let's
roll call
do a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Moser,
Yes.
trustee Mayton,
Yes?
trustee McDonald,
Yes,
trustee Barry,
No.
trustee Lang,
Yes.
trustee Thorpe, no, trustee Petlicoff.
I am on the fence, but I'll say yes.
All right, motion carries.
All right, next item, please.
I'll get you some further information on that. I'm just.
And I want a private ride up and down the
I don't
elevator.
have, I don't have my right hand here, Fred, tonight, so he'd say more about the
You're just trying to get yourself in
operations.
trouble tonight, aren't you?
So, that's what I.
Next.
May I make a comment on number 2?
Oh, all right. Yes, you did say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, President Cavaluna, you did say you wanted to make a comment. Now that we've officially approved those people, we've already applauded.
I made a statement in my report to the board today regarding Board Report 4528, and I merely want to add that everything I mentioned about my change to Board Report 4528, I reiterated at the open meeting of the Policy Committee. So that it's clear, the change that I've made to Board Report 4528 I've made public in 2 public settings.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, next item, please.
Board of Trustees business, first, acknowledgement of correspondence.
I got no correspondence.
We-
Yes, trustee Lane.
Not this month, but the prior month, we had a letter from the Federation of Teachers, and I bring it up now just because I don't know whether there's been any discussion. I cut out at the last bit of the August meeting. So I don't know whether there's been any continued discussion on a naming after former President Bundy.
Yes, I tasked you with following the protocol set forth for names.
Yeah, Trustee Lane, I took the letter that was given by the AFT to the board, and I gave it to Vice President Best to comply with the bylaw that directs how the board shall evaluate requests for naming of physical property on the campus. I don't have input for you on that yet, but I'll report out to you.
Let there be light.
I'll report out to you when I think I can expect some
All right,
feedback.
I'm just questioning whether anything is being done. Thank you.
All right. Any other? Okay, next item.
Board committee reports.
here I go again. We also, adding to what we discussed earlier, the policy committee also discussed we continued the discussion on updating and reorganizing the policies and the bylaws. We want to have that on a rolling schedule where everything will be updated and reviewed every 3 to 5 years. Earlier, if necessary, due to changes in regulations or laws or that kind of thing. So we are in the process of doing that. That's why there's been so much work for the policy committee lately. But I think it's a very good thing that we continue to do that. As long as you're keeping all those in their front of your mind and reviewing them every 3 to 5 years, and you have a schedule to do things, things won't fall through the cracks. So I think that's very good. We also discussed ways that we could do a better job at supporting new board members. This district and this college specifically, there's a lot of training that is offered through the MASB and the MCCA, and even on a national level. But this district and this college is unique in the way that they are formatted and the way the business that we do and our students. And I just think, and we had a discussion, we'll continue the discussion, that we can do a better job at bringing new board members on and preparing them to be successful. So I think that will be an ongoing conversation. And we also, as President Cavalluna said, we discussed staff recommendations report. That was it.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee reports?
I do want to add one more thing. If anyone has any ideas, because I don't know how everyone else was brought on or oriented when you became a board member, if you want to share your experience or things that you thought could be improved from your experience, please, because I know we all had probably different experiences.
Yes.
And I think that we need to just make sure that we do a good job preparing it, because it's a big job, and no one knows what to expect until they get put in the position. So feel free to contact me to share.
Trustee Moses,
Did you say
I'd like to mention that I've been asked by President Cavalluna to actually prepare something for the accreditation, is it?
accreditation,
So, yeah,
yes.
so it's part of that. They asked, how do you brief new board members? So I'll be doing that and sending it to the president, and I can share that with you
Please,
as
thank
well.
you.
Yes, and we've all had that. At one point, every single one of us was a new board member, so we've all had an experience in our board career of being a new board member. It was with different presidents, different superintendents, different board members, but we've all had the experience of being a new board member. So at any point that anybody needs to have some eye-opening discussion, I think any of us could provide our own perspectives. All right. Next item, please.
Request for information and/or future agenda items.
Trustee Moses?
I just wanted to ask you, Madam Chair, last time we discussed about evaluating each other.
Right, I was going to bring that up.
Okay, so I don't know where that's falling.
Well,
so.
because that's my job, not yours. Not yours.
All right,
So,
sounds good.
I wait till
Sure.
everybody else asks, and it'll be mine.
I just, for President Cavalluna, for me, I did ask about how can we improve the student experience on campus, and especially the deregistration process of how we can alert students that they're being dropped out of their classes if they're not enrolled in a payment plan, or they're still pending financial aid status. So one practical item that I suggested is that we add something to the banner system where they log in and register for classes, is that to have like a red bar for them if they are prone to the deregistration. Because the worst thing that could happen to a student, it happened to a few students who approached me and then approached the president, is that they would be deregistered if they don't have access to their email for like a week, or they go on vacation the next day, they're deregistered from their classes, and they were waiting for financial aid to tell them if they're awarded financial aid or not. So I'd like to see what are we doing to improve that for next semester. Hopefully that IT change will be added to the system where they're being told, you're going to be dropped out of your classes if you're not enrolled in a payment plan. Or we improve how financial aid will let students know, and how will they be dropped as well. Or how can we notify students by text messages. I just want to give every opportunity for the students to be notified prior to them to really go through the pain of registering for classes again and probably not being able to get into sections because they're already full.
I will say, because I was talking to Kevin Culler today about, because I was very happy to see, and I'm surprised we didn't have more conversation about it, that our fall enrollment was much better than we had anticipated. And he said one of the things that helped was extending that period of time so that students weren't deregistered. They had another 2-week window before they were potentially dropped off, so that if they were waiting for that last minute word of their finances, they did extend that opportunity another 2 weeks. And he said he thinks that helped a great deal in maintaining students. What I want to, and correct me if I'm wrong, President Cavalluna, what I want to remind everyone is that if the students, for whatever reasons, do not get the funding that they had anticipated, and we don't take them out of those classes, and other students are not put into those classes, that we take a hit financially.
Yeah.
By holding off to the very, so we have to have some kind of process, because that's what got us into trouble so many years ago.
Right.
And we have to make sure that we have that balance, and it's a tightrope walk. But some of the responsibility is going to have to be on the students to pay attention to all of the messages that are coming out, and if they know that it's getting close, and that they still haven't been able to have a financial security to get that class time started, then they have to speak up before they're going to be, rather than just kind of going off on vacation or a job and ignoring because I know that we have many efforts to connect with them. And, I'm not certain that another traffic stoplight is going to necessarily get them to understand that they need to act and that they need to do something. So I'm not saying that we can't give it a shot. I'm just saying that there has to be some accountability on the student's part as well, to be cognizant that this is a potential that could happen, because we have to have students in those seats. And if we keep on holding open a seat for a student that isn't going to be able to pay for it, then we've lost another student who could have been in that seat. So I just want to remind everybody that there is a price for all of this, and it almost cost us the college before. So, do we have any other? Yes.
Trustee Mosip, I will collect, and I meant to do this before. I meant to send an email around to you all, and my memory may be faulty, but I think I may have. But in any event, I will make a communication to the entire board outlining the steps that we do to communicate to students of a pending deregistration decision. And then I will do like I do with any kind of feedback you all can give me. If there's ways we can serve students more effectively, I want to do that. And so